We are back at the pond. It is springtime, the snow is finally gone, things are drying out, and the biggest news of all, our water is not green. It's fairly clear. It's a miracle. Last year was so bad, it was embarrassing to make pond videos with water that looked like pea soup. It was green, it was chunky, it was thick, I couldn't see through it. It's pretty darn good right now. So this winter, when there was still ice on the pond, I got the aerator back out, hooked it up, and it actually punched a hole through the ice. So that ran very early this year, and when the ice melted and left the pond, we had extremely clear water. So I think the very early season aeration helped a lot. And we also put some pond dye in here. I'm doing a second pond aeration video, so I don't know, these might be up near the same time. But in that aeration video, we threw in a package of blue dye. I think we're gonna throw another package in. It depends on your pond, but I'm pretty much a package every month to 5 weeks. So it's starting to lose its color, so I think I'll throw another package in today. The water is high still. You can see some fish here. I have fish again. Thought we lost them last year. Couldn't see a fish all summer because the water was so poor. And it's cleared out and I've got all my fish, so that's fantastic. We have a lot of minnows with this clear water now, this warmer, shallow water. All the minnows are coming in. They're kind of foraging and I think spawning as well. This is very warm water because it's only 5 or 6 inches deep. So in this corner, in the shallowest water of all, there's a lot of minnows. So I'll try to sneak down, see if you can see some minnows because there is so many in here. And there they go. I think you can see them. There's a few hundred there in this shallow water. Oh, there's a lot more over there. I'm gonna try to sneak over there. There's 1,000 minnows there. Pretty cool. They're just sitting in there. You can see the flashes of them. There's part of our beach. This kind of just ended last fall when the freezing temperatures came. So it'll be interesting to see how this works. I have a lot of beach sand put on here on top of a weed barrier. And I'm afraid my weed barrier is too thick and it's gonna stay mushy and not let the water through it. So we'll see how this works. This could be a total disaster that has to get reworked on this year, or it could be a really nice beach around the end of the pond here. Come around here is the old Christmas tree. We can actually see things again. It is so much more enjoyable to make a pond video when you have nice pond water. Last year was embarrassing. I just hated bringing the camera out and looking at the dirty pond that I thought all the fish died in. So one thing I want to do today is get this Christmas tree into the bottom of the pond. In the past, I would just throw our Christmas tree out on the ice in the winter and it would kind of half sink, half float around for the summer, but I want to get this one down deep, out of the way. I got a lot of Christmas trees around the perimeter. I don't need any more to look at. It's been sitting out in the sun for a while, so it's super light, super dry, so it's going to really want to float. I wonder if 1/4 of a block is enough to sink this thing if I somehow wire it to the tree. Oh, maybe there. If I could get that to stay right there. That looks pretty good. So in one of the first bait stocking videos I ever put up on YouTube, everybody said, you gotta get some structure in your pond, throw some Christmas trees in your pond. It sounded kind of crazy to me, but the more I read about it, the more I watched. Absolutely, these are the best. Everything likes them. Big fish, small fish, minnows, bait fish. They all hide and hunt in these trees. So I have a bunch of these trees around the edge of the pond where you can see them from above. And if you want to see fish or minnows, I just go to where a tree is and there's always something living in it. Okay, this is maybe going to work. I hope this doesn't float. It might though. So thank you for those comments. And here's another Christmas tree for you. I don't know how far I can throw it without falling in here, but please sink. Oh no! That's pretty much what I didn't want. Well, we have a tree now standing up in the pond. Didn't expect that, didn't really want that, but it's kind of cool, I guess. I underestimated the weight of the block, I guess. It sunk the tree, but it was hard to throw 15, 20 feet. In the pond aerator video that we did this spring, the follow-up, we threw in our first packet of pond dye. I'm not going to go into full detail again on that, but it's now gone back to its natural color here. The pond, the blue has disappeared, so depending on your pond, you will lose your coloring 3, 4, 5 weeks. So I'm at least 5 to 6 weeks here. So it's time for a second packet. What that dye is doing is trying to block the sunlight. Vegetation, weeds, algae, they all need sunlight to grow, reproduce, and be healthy. So with the dye blocking or reflecting a lot of that sunlight, you have a lot less weed growth. At least that's the idea. So I'm actually going to wear rubber gloves this time. I didn't in the first video and I paid for it. There was blue everywhere. So it said in big bold letters, wear gloves, and they were not lying. I'm going to pull one packet out, and that's what it is. So we'll let that dye mix. The aerator actually does a really good job of mixing it as it brings that cold water from the bottom up to the top, so that'll circulate through. We'll definitely have a blue pond here in a couple hours. So I'm not a big chemical guy. I don't want to mess with the water here too much. I really just want clear pond water. I can see the fish, everything's happy and healthy. So when I threw that first packet in about a month ago, the next day the pond was like really blue, like shockingly blue. So I looked and I said, like, what is in this stuff? So they don't give you a lot of information on the outside of the packet. Active ingredients are dye, coupling agents, and inert ingredients. So I called the pond supply place that I got it from, and I'm like, hey, like, is this environmentally friendly here? Like, have I done anything? Like, does this build up in the soil? And they're like, no, it totally doesn't. It is a food product, almost like a food coloring and baking products, just way more intense. So there's no chemical in here. There's been nothing really altered to the water. They started using this product on crop spraying. So when the airplanes would go and spray the crops, they would use this dye as a colorant so they could see their lines that they were spraying. They could tell where they sprayed and where they didn't spray. So another tool that I have to fight the clear pond water or fight the algae is this water column clarifier. I put this in the first video too this spring with the pond aerator, but I messed up. I talked to the pond people after, and this product needs some warmth to the water. They want to have like 11 degrees Celsius, so that's like 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the pond for this to activate. I don't have a great thermometer, but I've rigged this up. The air temperature in the sun's pretty hot there. That's 92 right now in the sun. So I'm going to try to get this in the pond with my fishing rod on here and see what we have for water temperature. We need to be at 50. I think we will be, and I'm also up high because I only have a 6-inch probe, so it'll definitely be cooler water lower. But with the aerator going, it's going to mix that temperature pretty well. So it'll be interesting to see what we have. I'm going to send this out, hopefully not get it wet because it's not waterproof, and we'll see what we have for a temperature. 74 maybe. I don't think my eyes are that good, but maybe 74. 74. So we've got 74 up top, so we're definitely 50 down a bit for sure. So we're warm enough to throw that in now. So I haven't put this video up yet because it's been a partial fail. This pipe comes from the house, which is about 250 feet away. It's hooked into a few eaves trough on the roof. And I didn't want the water coming off the roof and washing out the lawn, so I said I'll be smart. I'll pipe it all the way down here, gravity fed, into the pond, and when it rains, I'll get a huge pile of water come out and it'll be like a waterfall here going into the pond. In my head, it sounded like it should work. It doesn't really work well, so I don't know if I have a kink or we crushed the pipe backfilling it. I'm gonna maybe send a camera up there this summer, but all in all, I think I'll be able to fix it. It still does push some water out. I just thought I'd get like half a pipe full and I get maybe a fifth of a pipe. So I'm gonna build this as a waterfall here, but down below I have a bunch of like small river rock. I'm going to spread to cover the bottom of the pond liner that I have here. So with the clear water, now we can get out our high-end underwater camera equipment for another season. So almost immediately after the rocks were put in and the dust settled, these minnows came in and they just started buzzing around the pile of gravel. I stopped by a couple days later and they were still there, so I think they were spawning on this rock. The next day a rock bass showed up and really took a liking to the pile of rock as well. I guess that's why they call them rock bass. And the rock bass also spawned on this pile of rock. It carved out a nest and sat there for 2 weeks on the nest. Pretty cool to see up close how a little bit of gravel structure attracts fish. You can also see the next day the blue water is changing from the pond eye. It's getting more blue. So I hope and I think we've got that water quality dialed in where we can keep clear water this year. I want to get some underwater video. Didn't do any last year, and I love doing the underwater video when you get to see below the surface. That's super cool. The fish, living, feeding, breeding. That is super cool. I know last year we did some golf course videos. I'm still trying to make a backyard golf course. So this summer I hope to build 2 golf greens somehow, sometime. But this will always be a pond video channel. I know the pond people are super passionate. I get a ton of comments and thumbs up on the pond videos. Pond people are super passionate. I learned that from day one. They help me out with comments all the time. So this will always be a pond video channel. It'll be a nice pond centered around a backyard golf course hopefully someday. But I really want to get some bigger fish in here, grow them, try to hand feed them, at least get them tame enough where they come in and we can fling them some minnows, some food, some bait. So that's the goal this year. I think we can finally look to get some bigger fish in here. It's been 3 years, didn't think it'd be that long, but we finally have it rolling here. I think the minnows are spawning themselves, reproducing, so we're in control there. Now it's time to go out and get a couple good-sized fish that hopefully live in here for a long time.